Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of the MMA OB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, and I am joined by Cole Shelton, my co-host here. We got a lot to talk about today, Cole. UFC Auckland preview, Bellator 239 preview, and Bellator 240 preview. I've already recapped UFC Rio Rancho yesterday, so I don't think we're going to get into that. Maybe we'll talk quickly about the main event, but I'm going to focus today on UFC Auckland. First off, Cole, how's it going, and what do you think about these three cards we're going to break down?
Yeah, it's going well first off, but yeah, these cards, like obviously Bellator Dublin or 240, however they're going by it. It's so weird Bellator splitting up into two. It's like Bellator Dublin, but it's not a good card. Like the main event's not very good. There's like they have like 20 fights on
I
both
know.
cards. Like they have like 40 or 42 fights in a weekend. Like that's way too much. The Auckland card, there's some interesting matchups. Like the main event should be really good, but it's obviously like not a lot of huge names. It's what you normally get with a lot of these Australian, New Zealand like fight night cards. Just get a lot of local fighters. So, but there should be some good fights, and I'm looking forward to some fighters for returning again. But the Auckland card's definitely the best one of the weekend.
Oh, for sure, I agree with that. And there are going to be weekends where their Bellator cards are actually better, but I don't know if that's the case this weekend. By the way, Cole, I was looking at the full card. It's like there's like 20 fights. It's crazy, right? Like I was surprised Bellator has that many people on their roster. Anyways, let's get right into this card here. UFC Auckland. We'll start with the bottom, work way up as always. First fight of the night, women's flyweight bout. Shayna Dobson against Priscilla Cachoeira. Dobson minus 190, Cachoeira plus 160. Who wins this fight?
It's so hard for this fight. They're both so inconsistent. I'll go Priscilla Cachoeira. Just Shayna Dobson. She's what 3-3 as pro. She's just. I'm surprised either of them got another shot in the UFC. I thought Dobson was going to be cut after that Mazo loss. I thought Cachoeira was going to be cut after the Carolina loss. Cachoeira got dominated by Shevchenko, lost to Molly McCann, and lost to Luana Carolina. She doesn't have a win yet in the UFC. She's 0-3. Loser gets cut. I think Cachoeira is a better all-around fight. I think she can edge a decision, but this is a fight I wouldn't bet on at all.
Yeah, it's crazy how weak this fight is. It's a bad fight. This is not a UFC caliber fight. Haven't been impressed with either fighter. Cachoeira, not impressive at all. She's kind of like a punching bag, man. She just kind of stands there and gets hit in the head a lot. Dobson has at least some striking ability. She does have one knockout win in the UFC against Ariel Beck, who really is like a nobody herself. It's not a good fight, Cole. It's a kind of a this is not a UFC caliber fight. This is like not even a contender series fight. I really have no idea what's on the card. I want to slightly lean towards Dobson here just because Cachoeira just gets pieced up on the feet way too much. I think Dobson probably outboxes her, wins the decision, maybe knocks her out. Probably decision, though. No way in hell I would bet on this fight, though. No chance. Do not bet on this fight. Not worth it. Next up, welterweight bout, Maki Pitolo against Takashi Sato. I like this fight, Cole. This should be a fun one. Sato right now, minus 115. Pitolo, minus 105. Who wins?
I actually like the underdog of Pitolo here a bit. I know he was obviously disappointed in his debut against Kalen Potter. There was a fight a lot of us thought he was going to win, but he's really good on the ground. We saw Takesha Sato. He's been choked up before. He got lost to Glacio Franca by submission, lost to Bilal Muhammad in his last fight by submission. I think Pitolo can get his fight down on the ground. I think he can have success, but I think part of the reason I think he had octagon jitters, I know a lot of people talk about it. I think he'll be better this time around. I think he'll get a win here. It might even be a finish.
You know, Cole, I'm going to agree with you on this one. I do like Pitolo a little bit as well. I'm with you, man. That last fight against Potter, wow, I can't believe he lost that fight. Like, he should have easily won that fight. Potter's a guy that gets knocked out quite often and lost that, but he looked great at contender series against Sumter, man. That was hooks to the body. He is a knockout artist. I mean, he's kind of fighting close to home, I guess. He's from Hawaii, if I'm not mistaken. Sato, I guess, is close to. He's from Japan, but yeah, Sato. I mean, he did have the nice win over Ben Saunders. He looked good there. Lost to Muhammad, but he is a guy that has been knocked out before, and I think he can get knocked out here with Pitolo. So, I actually think Pitolo should probably be favored a little bit in this fight. I think people are just kind of down on him after the last fight. You can't blame them, but I do like Pitolo here, Cole. I think he probably wins by knockout. I'm guessing that's the way you're looking at it as well, right?
Yeah, I think so. It might even be a decision, but
yeah. I have a feeling this fight doesn't go the full 3 rounds. These guys just have a lot of finishing ability. All right, next up, women's strawweight bout. Loma Lumi taking on Angela Hill, who's fighting Cole 6th time in 11 months, which is insane. Like, there's no more busy fighter in the UFC than her. She's like the female Dawn Cerrone at this point. Angela Hill is the favorite right now, minus 200. Luke Boomy plus 170. Who's your pick?
I'm going Angela Hill. Angela Hill's a girl I have a tough time reading. Some fights I think I have a good read, and she either loses or like that random Marcos fight, for example. Like I still always point to that one. Like that was a fight she should have won. I thought she was going to win, and I think Luma's just a bit too young. She doesn't have that experience. She just had her UFC debut. She looked good in that fight, but I just think Hill's a bit too more experienced, bit better on the feet. I think Angela Hill will take a decision win here.
Yeah, definitely interesting fight. I mean, the Luke Boonmee versus Hannah Goldie fight, all of us would have picked Luke Boonmee in that fight. This is a tough one, man. Angela Hill, I pick against her every fight, Cole, and she has been winning, so I got to give her credit. She's looked pretty damn good in her last 2 fights, getting stoppage wins. But I'm pretty high on Luke Boonmee, man. She's only 24. She's 10 years younger. That's a huge advantage. She's from Thailand. She's got that Muay Thai background. This should be a striking-based fight. I think Hill is just a better striker than a lot of her last couple opponents. I think Luke Boonmee matches up really well in the field with her, man. It's an interesting fight, definitely close one, but I actually am going to lean towards the dog here a little bit. Luke Boonmee, I think she could outstrike Angela Hill and win this fight. But again, I've been kind of wrong on Angela Hill's last 2 fights, so this one is not like a super confident dog pick. I just think that this line should be a lot closer than what it is personally, and I am going to take the dog side here with Luke Boonmee. Next up, Cole. I love this fight, Cole. This could actually be fighting tonight if you ask me. Flyweight bout. K-Kara France against Tyson Nam. I think you just spoke to K-Kara France. You can talk about that interview. Kara France is minus 260. Tyson Nam plus 220. Who's your pick?
Yeah, I like Kara France to get done, but this is he's fighting quick turnout. He just fought at 245, and what I didn't know is he was already on this Auckland card for 245. When he arrived to Vegas, Mick talked to him. He's basically like, because Kai's from Auckland. He's last time they were there, he was sitting front row. He was telling me a cool story. He's like, Dan Hooker was fighting, and I basically just told everyone around him, like, this is going to be me next time they're in here. So when he got to Vegas, Mick's like, we're saving you a spot if you want it. And he said, no matter what happened that Moreno fight, even if I was injured, I wasn't giving up a spot to fight here. So Nam's obviously a tough guy. He's a guy that I think should have been in the UFC a lot sooner than what he was. Lost to Sergio Pettis in his debut, which isn't a bad loss. Has all the knockout power, but I just think Kara France is a better striker. And I think we might even see Kara France get his first UFC finish. He showed a lot of power on tough, and I think he can do it here. Nam's also a durable guy, but I'll say Kara France by decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if he earned a TKO win.
Yeah, this should be a good fight, Cole. I actually think this could be fight of the night. Both guys tend to want to stand on the feet and strike. Kara France, definitely an impressive fighter. The last fight with Moreno was a really good fight. I know you talked to him. He got a locker room bonus, which is rare. Dana White did say that he was going to get one. He actually lived up to his word, apparently, which is nice to hear. But that was a really good fight. Cole was at that card, obviously, and it was a really enjoyable fight. He did lose, but Moreno's a really good fighter. And Kara France has that win over Riley Paiva right now, Cole, which looks really good. It was a close fight. But after he just knocked out De La Rosa, who Kara France also has a win over, I mean, that win looks even better over Paiva. And he also has a win over Garcia in the UFC as well. He just looked really good in general, man. Tyson Nam's a guy, like you said, Cole. He should have been in the UFC years ago. It's unfortunate it took him too long, but I think 36 years old, Cole, for a flyweight, way too old. He's, I believe, the oldest fighter in this division. Like, not even, and I don't think it's even close. There's not many fighters in this division in general. I don't think there's many guys over the age of 30. So he is the oldest fighter in this division, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, he is durable, Cole. One knockout loss in his career to Marlon Moraes. I think this fight probably goes a full 3 rounds, but I think Kara France pieces him up and wins a decision. I am pretty confident in Kara France in this fight. I know the odds look tempting on Nam, but I don't think he wins this fight, guys. I like Kara France to win a decision. That'd be my pick in this one. It should be a fun fight, though, because both guys are pretty durable and like to stand and bang, so it should be a good one. All right, next up, another prelim bout. Welterweights, Calvin Potter and Kenan Song. Odds right now, Kenan Song or Song Kenan, minus 185. Potter, plus 160. Who's your pick?
I like Kenan Song here. I've been impressed with him. He's had really good performances. Hector Aldana, Derek Grant's last fight was a good win. He has a lot of knockout power. We've seen Calvin Potter get knocked out before. He's been knocked out quite a bit in his career. I think Kenan Song might be able to knock out Potter here, but even if it goes distance, I think he's the better striker, which I think this fight's primarily going to be a standing fight. I think Song's going to either get a decision or a knockout win.
Yeah, I like Song a little bit too. Potter, I just don't trust his chin. He did look good in his last fight. We got to give him credit, man. Like, no one was picking him to win that fight against Patolo. He went out there and got the job done. But that loss to Jalen Turner so quick really scares me. And he's been knocked out a bunch of times early in his career. So he's a guy that can be KO'd. And Song does have knockout power. He knocked out Bobby Nash at 15 seconds debut. Also knocked out Aldana. The last 2 fights, Morono generally is pretty durable. I know he got knocked out in his last fight, but generally he's durable. And then Krantz, also a very durable fighter. I've been pretty impressed with Kenan Song. I think he's an underrated fighter a little bit in this division. One of the better Chinese fighters on the roster. I do think he wins this fight. I think he does get the stoppage win, Cole. I think he knocks him out. So my pick's Kenan Song. I think he wins by TKO. Next up, Jake Matthews against Emil Mek. pretty solid fight too. Jake Matthews minus 230, Emil Mech plus 190. Who's your pick?
Yeah, this is an interesting fight because obviously Emil Meek, hasn't fought since July of 2018. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. One of those losses to Usman. You can't really complain about that. Matthews, he had a lackluster fight against Rostam Akman at 243. That was a pretty boring fight before that loss to Rocco Martin. Both guys are just – it's a hard fight to call. I favor Matthews just because he's at home, and obviously Meek hasn't fought in a while, but I wouldn't be surprised if Meek pulled out an upset win, but my pick's Jake Matthews by decision.
Yeah, I'm with you. I kind of lean towards Matthews. He hasn't really lived up to the hype, I think, that a lot of us had, or not really necessarily me. I think I've always thought he was a decent fighter, but never like an elite prospect. But still only 25, Cole, so he's very young. A lot of experience. Been in the UFC since 2014, so he's been in the UFC since he's been 19 years old. So you got to give him credit for that. He has won 4 of his last 5 fights. He's looked okay, but for the most part, his wins are kind of over guys on the UFC. His best win would be Li Jingliang. That's a very good win, actually, looking back at it. Emil Mech, he doesn't fight that often, Cole. That's my problem with this guy, because I remember when I saw him in Venator, he knocked out Paul Harris. I was like, damn, this guy's good. Beat Jordan Mean in Toronto in his debut, and that was a good win for him. But then since then, obviously lost to Usman and Fabinski. He hasn't fought in almost 2 years. That scares me. Matchup-wise, both guys will probably look to wrestle each other. I think this could be kind of a grinding fight. It could be pretty close, like you said, Cole. I do lean towards Matthews, though. 6 years younger, fighting close to home, and more experience in the UFC and more momentum coming off a win here over Rostam Akman. So my pick's Jake Matthews, and I think he wins a decision in this fight. Next up, we have a lightweight bout. This is the last prelim. Jalen Turner against Josh Kulabau, and the odds have Jalen Turner minus 200, Kulabau plus 170. Who's your pick?
I like Jalen Turner here. Kulabau's stepping on short notice for Jamie Malarkey, who they're actually teammates. Kulabau's a featherweight, and Turner's going to be the big guy. Obviously, his last fight against Fruvola. I talked to him before this fight, and he said he should have really pulled out. He had bad knee injury, but he was expecting a child, so he said, I wasn't going to fight for a while, so I need that money. It's also his last fight in his UFC contract. He knows this is do or die for him, so I think Turner's going to show out. I think he's going to get a win. I think he might be able to knock out Kulabau just because I wonder how Joshua is going to be able to handle the power, given he's moving up 10 pounds. Mm-hmm. I'll say Turner by knockout, and I think he gets probably first, second round knockout.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I just don't trust Turner. I mean, he's only 8-5. He has an 8-5 record, not very good. And he's been knocked out 3 times actually, excuse me. But still, I mean, that's kind of scary. The last fight with Frevola is actually an underrated fighter. So I think you got to give him credit a little bit for going the full 3 because Frevola is underrated. But still, just a 1-2 record. The loss to Luque, I'll give him a pass on that one. But the Frevola fight, a lot of us thought he'd win that. Kulabau, though, like you said, short notice. I don't know a lot about this guy. He is pretty young, 25. He has an undefeated record. Like you said, fighting close to home here. I think the value is on Kulabau, to be honest with you. I just don't know enough about him to make a pick on him. And, Turner, I still want to believe in this guy because, offensively, Cole, he's so dangerous. I just don't trust his defense. I will say this, though. I think this fight probably doesn't go the full 3 rounds. Both guys tend to finish their fights. Someone probably gets finished here. I think it's going to be Turner finishing the fight, but I wouldn't like minus 200 on him. I think it's dog or pass. Next up, we'll get to the main card here, Cole. First up, we got a featherweight bout. Zubair Tuhugov against Kevin Aguilar. Close odds. Tuhugov minus 115, Aguilar minus 105. Give me your pick.
I'm going with Kevin Aguilar here. Just to get him as close to even money is pretty good. I just don't think Zubair is that good. Obviously his last fight was his return against Leron Murphy. That's a guy he was set up to win at 2-2. He had a draw. Before that, he lost to Hinaldo Mokono in 2016. He had that huge laugh. He just doesn't fight. Kevin Aguilar's last fight was a decision loss to Danny Ige, and we've seen how good Danny Ige looks as of late. He's beat Enrique Berzola, beat Rick Glenn. He has good wins. He knocked out Damon Jackson in LFA. I think Kevin Aguilar can get a decision win, and I think we saw Zubaira gas out at 242. I think Aguilar, if he just puts on the pressure, we'll see Zubaira fade again, and I think Aguilar's going to win a unanimous decision.
Yeah, this is a close fight. I mean, the odds look bang on to me. Pick them very close. This is one of the ones I had a lot of time struggling on picking. I don't know, Tuhugov, I thought he beat Leon Murphy, to be honest with you. I guess draw is not a terrible outcome because you said he kind of faded a little bit, but that was after 3 years away from the sport. So you got to give him some credit there in that he had a long layoff, came back and at least didn't lose his fight. And the loss he had was to McCann. But overall, I think he's a little bit overrated. Being Khabib's teammate, I think gets him a lot of press, but he hasn't really shown like it in the UFC. His best win is Douglas Andrade. That was 6 years ago. Aguilar's a guy I've been very high on. Very dangerous fighter, of course, well-rounded. He is coming off his first loss. He didn't look great in that fight against Ige, but Ige is a very good contender. This is a tough fight call. I think it can go either way, personally. I'm going to slightly lean towards Dugov. I just think this guy can win this fight by decision. I think he can outstrike Kevin Aguilar and just kind of out-wrestle him a little bit, but it's not a confident pick. I could be wrong about this one, and Aguilar could very well pull off the win. So not a confident pick, but to Dugov, very, very slight lean, just like the odds suggest. Next up, and I like this fight too, Cole. This could be a fight of the night candidate. Magomed Mustafayev against Brad Riddle, who's coming off one of the best fights of 2019 against Jamie Malarkey. Right now, we have Mustafayev minus 130, Riddle plus 110. Give me your pick.
I'm going with the underdog and Brad Riddell. I know Mustafayev has looked really impressive. Brad Riddell's fighting close to home. He's the striking coach of like Care France, Adesanya, Volkanovski. He's the strike coach of City Kickboxing, and we see how good those strikers are. He's a really good striker. Mustafayev, obviously, he's coming off that really good spinning back fist knockout. That was his return, just like after fighting Kevin Lee in 2016. I think Riddell, his pressure we saw in his first fight, his pressure and output, I think that's going to frustrate Mustafayev. I think Riddell's going to take a decision win here, but it's such a close fight. I think this could easily be fight of the night.
Yeah, really good fight. Definitely two guys that will probably stand and trade in this fight, and I think that's what UFC's kind of getting at. Man, Mustafayev looked amazing in the last fight against Fiziev, knocking him out with a spinning back kick right through the guy's guard, which is very rare to happen. And overall, I mean, he hasn't fought that often. He's been in the UFC since 2015, only has 4 fights, but 3 finishes, Peter Hallman, Joe Proctor, and Fiziev. And then the one loss to Kevin Lee in 2016. Took 3 years off after that. Man, I think this guy's pretty damn good, and he looked really good in the last fight, but Riddle for sure is a dangerous fighter, and the Malarkey fight was incredible. Loved that fight, and like you said, Cole, really good striking. I don't know. I kind of lean towards Mustafayev, although I do like your argument for Riddle, and I'm not sleeping on him by any means. I think he has a good chance to win this fight, but I do like Mustafayev. I think he's just a little bit more dangerous than MMA, but we'll definitely see what happens here. It should be a good fight, but my pick will be Mustafayev to win the fight. Next up, this fight's kind of tough to call too, Cole. Heavyweights, low-level heavyweights, Marcus Rogerio de Lima and Ben Sassoli. Right now we got de Lima minus 145, Sassoli plus 125. Who's your pick?
Yeah, this is a tough fight to call. I'll favor Ben Sassoli with the underdog. I just think we saw in the Great Cardio fight, he can take a shot. He has a good chin. I don't think de Lima can knock him out. I think Sassoli might have a shot to catch de Lima. I wouldn't bet this fight at all, but just because Sassoli's an underdog fighting at home, I'll favor Sassoli to win here.
Yeah, I can't blame you. Honestly, I've really been thinking about taking him, but ultimately I am going to lean towards de Lima just because he's a little bit bigger, a little bit more experienced. I think he does have the wrestling advantage. You know, Sassoli is a very small heavyweight. He should have the speed advantage, which could help him out, but overall he's a small guy for this division. And I think de Lima can just out-wrestle him like he did to Weezerik a few fights ago. The only problem with this guy is like he gasses out a lot, and that scares me. You know, the thing is, Cole, most of his losses are by submission. Sassoli has no submission wins. He's a knockout artist. I don't know. I'm leaning towards a really awful fight that de Lima just kind of lays and prays his way to win. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I can't believe you've taken Sassoli. I've been thinking about him too. Ultimately, I might change my pick for this fight once I see the weigh-ins. I want to see the size difference. But right now, I am leaning towards de Lima just because I think he is going to be pretty big in this fight and should be able to use his size to get the job done. Next up, Karolina Kowalkiewicz against Xiaonan Yan. Yan minus 255, Kowalkiewicz plus 215. Who's your pick?
I'm going with Yan here. Kowalkiewicz, like, it's really weird kind of what happened to her. She beat Rose at UFC 201 by split decision. Then she lost to Joanna for the belt, lost Claudia Dela, beat Escobar, beat Felice Harrigan. Since then, she lost to Jessica Andrade by knockout, which was a really bad knockout. Lost to Michelle Watson, lost to Alexa Grasso. I think this is do or die for a UFC career. I don't think she can lose 4 straight here. And Jan's a really good upcomer coming off that win over Angela Hill. I think she'll be able to outstrike Karolina, and I think she'll be able to get a decision win here, which might be the end of Karolina in the UFC, which is kind of surprising to see how she was one of the best strawweights just 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. I think Yan by decision is a really good bet, actually. I don't see the odds out for that right now. I'm going to double check, but for some reason it's not showing on best fight odds. The props are out for every other fight. I think that's just a glitch. There probably is a prop out there. I think that's a really good pick, though, Cole. I think Yan does win a decision here. Kowalkiewicz, you know, she's on a really bad losing streak, has not looked good lately. She's pretty durable for the most part. I know Andrade knocked her out, but mostly she goes to the decision here, and Yan is not really like a Weili Zhang type of finisher. I think this fight goes a full 3, and I would say Yan has a really good shot at winning decision. So that's a prop I would look at, guys. But honestly, I think Jan is one of my more confident picks on this card, Cole. I can't see Carolina winning this fight. I'm not very high on her anymore. I think she's kind of on the decline, like a big decline. Next up, this is a good fight, Cole. Co-main event, Jimmy Crute against Michal Oleksiejczuk, battle of light heavyweight prospects who need to get a win after the last couple fights. Right now, we have Oleksiejczuk minus 140, Jimmy Crute plus 120. Who's your pick?
I'm going with the underdog and Jimmy Crute. I think striking-wise, I think they're pretty similar, but on the ground, I think Jimmy Crute's a lot better on the ground. I think he even told me, he said, I'm going to test his chin. After that, I'm going to take him down on the ground, choke him out. I think that's exactly what Crute's going to do. I think he's going to get a submission win on Oleksiejczuk probably in the second or third round.
I like this fight a lot. Both guys are very dangerous, but I'm with you, Cole. I like Jimmy Crute. He should be favored, in my opinion. Fighting close to home. Slightly younger, just by a year, but still. Oleksiejczuk, he is a good fighter for sure. But that last fight against OSP, getting choked up by Von Flucho, I mean, come on. I know that Crute got submitted by Shurkinov with that Peruvian necktie, but still, Shurkinov is a very dangerous ground fight. I'm not saying OSP isn't, but like at this level, you really shouldn't get choked up by a Von Flucho, and it always scares me when a guy does. I'm really high on Crute, man. Even after that last loss, I'm not too worried about him. I think this kid is really dangerous, and I think he could be a future contender. Oleksiejczuk's solid, but I like Crute here. Kind of leaning towards a finish goal. Both guys are very dangerous, and both guys actually have been finished in all their losses, and I think that's what's going to happen here. Getting Jimmy Crute to win the fight on the ground by submission. Let's see here. Next up, main event, Cole. Here we go. Paul Felder versus Dan Hooker, 5-round fight, lightweight bout. Number 5 versus number 6 in the world. And I just wrote a tweet, Cole. I don't know if you saw it. The amount of similarities between these guys is crazy. Both ranked in the top 10. They're both on 2-fight win streaks. They're both 9-4 in the UFC. They both made their UFC debuts in 2014. It's crazy, right? So they're finally meeting. It's a really good time for them to meet. Love this matchup, Cole. This should be fight of the night on paper. It's going to be a great fight. Dan Hooker minus 150, Paul Felder plus 130. Give me your pick.
Yeah, this is such a good fight. I think Hooker's the one with the knockout power. I think if it goes to death, I think Paul Felder's going to win. We've obviously seen Felder get knockout wins, but as late, he's just been a guy to outgrind people. But Dan Hooker, he's obviously he's just 2 fights ago. It still reminds me of the Edson Barbosa loss. Like it's still kind of in the back of my head thinking that maybe this could happen, but I favorite Dan Hooker slightly here. I think he has knockout power. I think he might be able to hurt Paul Felder and get a TKO win in the 3rd, 4th round. But it's such a close fight. I would not be shocked if Paul Felder won. Like, this is going to be an amazing fight, but my pick's Dan Hooker to win this one.
I like Dan Hooker too, man. Just super dangerous. Don't get me wrong. Both guys are good, and Felder's very technical and a very solid fighter. But Dan Hooker's so dangerous right now with his striking, with his knockout power. He's just a vicious fighter, man. I don't see this fight going 5 rounds, Cole. I'll tell you that right now. There's no way this fight goes 5 rounds, in my opinion. I know people are going to say that because Felder does go the distance, but for me, there's no chance in hell. These guys are going to go there and try to kill each other. That's only minus 165 for the prop in the fight, not going the distance. And I actually like that prop a little bit more than either side just because there's a chance Felder could knock Hooker out as well. But overall, I do like Hooker in this fight, Cole. I like the knockout power. I like the fact he's fighting close to home. I like the age advantage by 4 years for him. And I like the momentum. I know Felder's coming off a win over Barboza, but that fight, honestly, he probably should have lost that. And overall, I've just been a little bit more impressed with Hooker. So my pick's going to be Dan Hooker to win the fight by knockout, and should be a great fight for however long it lasts. I'm going to get to the questions quickly here, Cole, from Kenshiro Doju. These are 2 heavyweight cans. Don't bet your lunch money on them. Yeah, I agree with them. I wouldn't bet on that fight between Sassoli and De Lima. Yan's the next best fighter from China after Weili Zhang. Easy to pick. Yan was lost in like 9 straight. I agree, and I think that honestly the odds could be higher on her in that fight. Carolina stopped retiring since 2009. My advice to retire from MMA and marry me so we can have 5 good-looking babies. Yeah, I think a lot of guys, MMA fans, male MMA fans, would be in the same boat as you, man. She's a very, very attractive woman for sure, and definitely a solid fighter. I just think at this point she's kind of on her last legs. Cole, it's another situation where I think, if Carolina got to the UFC a little bit sooner, she could have had a little bit more success. I mean, she did beat Rose at one point, so she was pretty highly ranked, but it's, at some point you just kind of start declining, and she has not evolved like Kenshiro Doju said. All right, let's get to Bellator 239 first, Cole, and then we'll do 240. So Bellator 239, pull up best fight odds if you can, Cole. We're just going to do those 4 fights there that they have listed with odds. We'll start with the top here, I guess. Ed Ruth against Yaroslav Amosov. Amosov minus 140, Ed Ruth plus 120. Who do you like here?
Believe it or not, I'm going with Ed Ruth to hand Amosov his first loss. I just think they're both wrestlers, they're both grinders, and I just think Ed Ruth's the better wrestler. He's a 2 or 3 time NCAA champion. I know it's multiple times. I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 off the top of my head. He's a really good wrestler. Obviously, that loss to Neiman Gracie was tough. I just think his striking is pretty similar to Amosov, but I think the wrestling going to be different. I think Ed Ruth can take a decision win, but I'm shocked that Bellator made this matchup because they're 2 of their top welterweight prospects. I thought they'd try to keep them away, but it's an interesting fight, but I favor Ed Ruth.
Yeah, it seems like Bellator is more like willing to do these prospect matches. I guess Ruth did lose that fight to Neiman Gracie, but still a prospect. I got to go with Amosov though, Cole. 22-0. I mean, that says a lot to me, and the guy's got so much momentum. But for sure, Ed Ruth with the wrestling has a good chance here. It's a close fight. Honestly, I don't think I'd bet on it. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is a dog or pass situation. I could see it kind of going either way. Next up, Miles Jury against Brandon Gertz. Jury minus 250, Gertz plus 210. Who wins this lightweight co-main event?
I have Miles Jury to get his first Bellator win, snap his 3-fight winning streak. Those 3 losses, Chad Mendes, Andre Fili, Ben Sanderson, nothing wrong with any of those losses. Gertz beat Sadowon last time out before that loss to Michael Chandler. He's obviously a tough guy lightweight, but I just think Jury's striking's a lot better. I think he can edge out a decision win over Gertz because Gertz is a tough guy to knock out. Like, the way he loses is normally by submission. I don't see Jury getting a submission win.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on this one, Cole. I think he does snap his losing streak too. You know, look who he lost to, man. Those are not bad fighters, Henderson, Fili, and Mendes. I'm not saying Jury's going to win the lightweight title in Bellator. I don't think he will, but I think he beats Gertz. Gertz is a gatekeeper, and this is a fight for Jury to win. Bellator's giving him a fight that he should win. He should win this fight. Do I love the odds? Not really. Minus 250. I don't love laying that kind of juice on Miles Jury, but I do think he wins this fight. All right, 2 heavyweight fights here, Cole, with identical odds. Tyrell Fortune's minus 700 against Tim Johnson plus 500, and Valentin Moldavsky's minus 700 against Javi Ayala's plus 500. Are they dog or pass situations, Cole?
I think Tyrell Fortune beats Tim Johnson, but I'm actually picking Javi Ayala to beat Valentin Moldavsky. Like, Javi Ayala has a lot of knock power. He knocked out Sergey Kharitonov in 16 seconds, knocked out Frank Amir. I think this is a fight where he can catch Moldavsky. Ayala's like, he's hit and miss, but just that power and those odds, like, if I had to pick one of those I'd bet Ayala. I just don't see Tim Johnson beating Tyrell Fortune, which is really unfortunate because Bellator is really given. I hope they give Tim Johnson another fight after this because he's obviously a good guy, but he's had a tough fight in Bellator. He had fought Czech Congo and then Vitaly Minikov on 5 hours notice because Ayala pulled out on the day of the event. And then Tyrell Fortune's one of their top up and coming prospects. Like, he's had a tough road in Bellator, but I think Ayala has value. I don't think Johnson really presents a lot of value, just because I don't see him winning at all.
Yeah, I like Tyrell Fortune in this fight too, Cole. I think this is, to be honest, is an easy pick. I just think he takes down Johnson and smashes him. Probably wins by TKO. I guess a good distance, but I'm thinking TKO. The other fight, though, I'm with you, Cole. I think, that's dog or pass on Ayala. This guy does have KO power. He did knock out Kharitonov, like you said. He knocked out Frank Mir. Moldavsky has lost before, so it's possible he could get finished. Probably Moldavsky takes Ayala down and just grinds him out for a really ugly decision, Cole. But I'm with you. It's dog or pass. And, I can't blame anyone. You want to throw a few bucks down on Ayala plus 500? Why not? This guy's pulled off a few upsets in the past where none of us thought he'd win. And eye candy does have KO power, so it's possible here. All right, let's get to Bellator 240/Bellator Europe 7, Cole. I hate how they do this. It's so confusing. It's weird. We're going to get to the 5 fights that do have odds, Cole. We'll start with Bellator 240. Main event, Brent Primus against Chris Bungard. Brent Primus minus 800, Bungard plus 500. Do you give Bungard a chance, or do you think Primus sweeps the floor with him?
I think Primus is a first-round stoppage, whether it be submission or knockout. I don't know what they're doing with them. I talked to Primus. I'll have that up to BJ Penn probably. He's really frustrated with Bellator, just who they're matchmaking him. His former champion lost to Michael Chandler, and now they've given him. They put him on these 2 Europe shows against 2 local guys. He said he didn't even know who this guy was. He didn't even think he was a real guy. He thought Bellator was just messing around with them. But I don't think Bungard has a shot here. I think Brent Primus will earn a stoppage win early in this fight.
Yeah, I think Primus wins by submission, Cole. This guy is super dangerous. Cole, he's actually one of the more underrated lightweights, I think, in MMA. No one talks about this guy as dangerous, and everyone kind of gives him crap for the Michael Chandler fight. It's not his fault Chandler twisted his ankle. He won that fight by injury. A lot of guys have won by injury. I think people just kind of sleep on him a little bit. And honestly, I kind of feel bad for the dude because since that loss to Chandler in the rematch goal, like Bellator barely uses him. He fights like once a year on their European Series cards. It's weird. He's a very good fighter. He wins this fight for sure. Next up, Kiefer Crosby against Imac Furtado. Crosby minus 425, Furtado plus 320. I'll be honest, Cole, I don't know a lot about these guys. Any thoughts on this fight?
I know Kiefer Crosby's a good guy. He's an SPG guy. They always hype him up, but I don't know a whole lot about the other guy, but I'll just pick Kiefer Crosby. He's really good on the ground, good top game, good submission game. I think he'll get a finish here.
Yeah, he probably does win. I mean, just look at the odds there. And then last fight on that card, this is a good fight, actually. Georgie Karakhanyan against Paul Redmond. Karakhanyan minus 165. Redmond plus 135. No idea why this card's being kind of just swept under the rug by Bellator. It's a pretty solid fight. Who wins, Cole?
Yeah, and Karakhanyan's moving up to lightweight for this one. It's going to see how he looks. He's obviously coming off that quick loss to AJ McGee. I think Karakhanyan gets the job done. Redmond's obviously a tough guy, but Karakhanyan has more experience. He's fought a lot of top guys. This will be Paul Redmond's like first real big test, and I don't think he passes. I think Karakhanyan wins probably by decision.
Yeah, I like Karakhanyan too. Redmond, Cole, I got to give this guy credit, man. He got cut from the UFC. He's bounced back nicely, but some of the guys he's beaten are just not very good. Karakhanyan, another guy that could have been in the UFC years ago, never showed up, and he's kind of on the decline. The McKee loss was bad, but I still think this guy's got some decent potential left in Bellator. Let's get to Bellator Europe 7, Cole. Just 2 fights with odds here. Judith Ruiz against Leah McCourt. McCourt minus 425, Ruiz plus 320. And for some reason, the odds actually opened flipped with McCourt as a plus 300 dog. I don't know if that was a mistake or not, but they flipped very, very quickly. So it could have been either way. I'm pretty sure you're going to pick McCourt in this fight.
Yeah, that must have been a mistake because I had McCourt all the way. This is a girl that I think she's going to need 1-2 more fights, and she's going to be fighting Cyborg for the belt. She's a 3-fight winning streak, but she hasn't fought anyone of note. McCourt by decision probably, but what a weak main event. That's all I got to say.
Terrible. I just saw that they rebooked the Cal Eleanor versus James Strabinal fight again for, I don't know when it was. I saw some guy on Twitter just tweet. I think Sanga Malata tweeted about it. So they did rebook that fight. I think it's the 3rd time they've rebooked it, Cole. And to be honest, I don't care about that fight either. Why is James Gallagher fighting guys that no one's heard of? Can he fight someone decent? This the thing about Bellator that bothers me, man. They give certain prospects really tough fights all the time, and then they give other guys really weak fights, like the Michael Page treatment. But then they give a guy like Ed Ruth a killer every fight. It's weird, right? It's so inconsistent. Anyways, last fight to talk about here on Bellator Europe 7 with odds. Aaron Chalmers against Austin Clem. Chalmers minus 260, Clem plus 200. I'm assuming you're picking Chalmers here.
Yeah, Aaron Chalmers, even though I don't think he's very good, but I don't really know much about the other guy. I'll just have Aaron Chalmers probably by decision.
Yeah. If anyone's any questions, throw them in right now before we get here. Cole's got a lot of work to do, but go ahead, Cole.
This Bellator card, though, I don't get the belt order. They have 1, 2, 3, 4. 5th fight from the bottom is Ricky Bandejas fighting.
I saw that too. That's weird.
And then Beck Rawlings is right after. I know Beck Rawlings is 7'9" MMA, but she's a fairly big name. They have Charlie Ward, who's one of the top guys, SPG and Bellator. I don't get how Bellator is doing this. I don't get why they have 20 fights, but yeah, it makes no sense to me.
Or Richard Kiley just fought in the main event against Michael Page, and now he's on the prelims. Georgia Karakhanyan's on the prelims. Oliver Enkamp was in the UFC. He's buried too. Strange. I don't get it.
And they have Leah McCourt and Judith Reese as the main event.
It's strange, man. And even on the other card, Cole, the 239 card, wasn't that Bolanos guy? I think, yeah, he's buried, Cole. 4th fight from the bottom. Gaston Bolanos, who I know he lost his last fight, Cole, but everyone was hyping him up as a major prospect. He's buried down there. And
Josh Hill opens up the card.
Josh Hill's buried. I was just talking about him the other night because he's a Canadian guy.
Keith Lee's making his Bellator debut on that card.
Buried 3rd from the bottom. It's weird, right? Weird belt order, Cole. Very strange. I don't understand it, but I like to support Bellator and all MMA promotions for giving fighters jobs. And Bellator, of course, pays better than most promotions, obviously besides the UFC and I guess PFL. But I just don't a lot of their decisions, Cole, just make me scratch my head and go why? I don't really get it. Anyways, like I said, if anyone has questions, throw them in here now, and we'll get to them very soon because Cole's got to go, and I have a lot of work to do too. But Cole, I do want to talk about UFC Rio Rancho quickly before we get out of here because I did talk about yesterday, but I didn't get your chance to hear your opinion. Just on the top 2 fights, really, as far as the main event goes, do you think Jan did enough with that KO win over Anderson to jump in line for the title shot?
I think he's getting the next shot at Jones. Even Jones was standing on his chair, like waving his arms. He seemed interested in that fight. I think that could headline International Fight Week, put Usman Masvidal's co-main. I know you said that. I think it makes a lot of sense, but I think Jan's gonna be next. I know people are still saying, "Oh, the Reyes rematch." Like, it's hard to give a challenger a loss or a instant rematch when they lost. Like, it rarely ever happens. Thiago Santos, I know he got hurt, but he was technically closer, and he's supposed to be back this July. There's no talk of him getting Jones again. So,
I
like,
know.
I don't think Reyes is gonna get the shot. I think it's gonna be Jan Jones in the summer.
Yeah, I feel bad for Santos. Like he actually had like technically a closer fight because he at least got one of the scorecards in his favor. I thought that Reyes clearly won that fight. I know you thought Jones won gold, but at the same time, I will say that it was a pretty competitive fight and a close fight. I thought he edged it out, but I will say that I guess in the judges' mind, he didn't do enough to convince them that he won the fight. And in my opinion, if there was no other challengers, Cole, if there was no one else like right now that's ready to go as a title challenger, I would be all for a Reyes rematch. And I'm still okay with that fight. If they go with the Reyes rematch, whatever, that's fine with me. It was a great fight. I'll watch it again. But I just think with Jan being 36, he's turning 37 next week, Cole. He's getting up there in age. He is on a nice win streak, won 7 of 8, won 3 straight fights, and coming off a huge win where John Jones was in attendance, clapping his hands, and he seemed very interested in the fight. I say book Jan versus Jones, Cole. And then I say you do Thiago Santos versus Dominic Reyes on the same card. Or you could do that as a main event for like a fight night card in the summer and do that for a 5-round fight because that fight probably should be 5 rounds. But I just think it's safer to put on that card with Jones and Blachowicz just in case there is an injury that you can slide them in. Thiago Santos actually did an interview today with MMA Fighting, and he talked about how he's probably going to come back in July, so that matches up perfectly, Cole, with my suggestion. The only problem is he says the UFC has not even offered him a ranked opponent. They offered him someone unranked for his return, which is crazy to me. Like, this is what I'm saying, Cole. Santos, I think, is ranked, he might be ranked higher than Dominic Reyes right now. I'm going to double check there. Not that the UFC rankings matter, but.
No, Reyes is 1, Santos is 2.
Okay, so number 2, but he's been offered an unranked opponent. That doesn't even make sense to me, Cole. This is a guy that should be fighting someone in the top 10. If Santos doesn't get the Reyes fight, he should probably fight someone like Uzdemir or something, or even Gustafsson, someone like that. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens there, Cole. But yeah, I think that Jones wants to fight soon. He says he didn't take any damage. He says he didn't take any damage. He said he's ready to go. July makes sense for him. There is that June card that doesn't have a main event book, but typically Jones fights in July on that International Fight Week card. I think they'll do that, although Conor McGregor could possibly fight that card too, which throws a wrench into things because I don't think they'll put Jones and Conor on the same card. I know that would obviously do a lot of pay-per-view buys, but I think probably separately they do just as many, if not more. I think that's what the UFC will do. And I just want to talk quickly about the Diego Sanchez fight, Cole, because there was a lot of obviously controversy there. Diego winning the fight by DQ in the 3rd round. Now he's released a statement saying that it was a veteran move to take the DQ. And Pereira obviously was going to win the fight, Cole, but ended up pulling a bonehead move, throwing the illegal strike. DQ is the right call there, not a no contest because it was an intentional blow. He was trying to hurt him, but it just feels wrong. He lost the fight. It's his fault. As far as quitting goes, I think it is harsh to say Diego quit. I think he just made a business decision, Cole, and thought, hey, I could take a win here and get an extra 100,000 win bonus. Why wouldn't he? So I'm assuming you kind of feel the same way about that. Like you would do the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think he quit at all, and I just take it, just get it to your everyday job. Say your boss came up to you and said, if you can just leave right now and you get that will double your money.
Yeah.
Or if you keep on working and this project goes wrong, you might get fired. So that's basically the thing. Diego might knock out another UFC fight if he lost that one. He's guaranteed at least one more fight, doubled his money. It made so much sense for Diego to get it. And really, I agree with the statement where he said all the blame should be on Pereira. He should know better not to throw that knee. You were 2-3 minutes away from winning that fight dominantly. Pereira needs to know not to throw that knee. And I don't think Sanchez quit. I just think he made a smart veteran move, doubling his money, guaranteeing another fight in the UFC.
I don't want to see him fight again, Cole. After this fight, though, he got hurt bad, Cole. He's taking damage the whole fight, man. I have no interest in watching him fight, but I will say he's going to get another fight. We got a couple questions here on Kensiro. Jones the GOAT. Okay. And then not mad Diego to the DQ and ruined my parlays. Made the veteran move. I don't know why all the fighters hate him for making money off UFC rules. Yeah, it's not UFC rules, it's MMA rules. He played there were rules in the sport, Cole, and he used the rules to his advantage. It is actually a smart move when you think about it. But at the same time, Cole, I'll tell you right now, I can understand why fans are pissed at him. I can understand why other fighters are criticizing him, and the media is kind of going after him a little bit. it was kind of one of those things where he did ask the ref, "Am I going to win by DQ?" And I think that's what bothers people, Cole, including myself. It's like once you said that, you knew that he was trying to get the win and game it. But at the same time, Cole, I would have did the same thing, man. I would have did the same thing. And honestly, I think maybe fighters can learn from this. Like look at Anthony Smith in that fight with John Jones. Maybe he should have taken the DQ and won the title that way. I know it's a cheap way to win, but he would have doubled his win bonus too, Cole. So maybe that's the way to do it. I know, again, and it's not the most, respectable move by any means, but it's a business decision. Some of these guys are going to start watching out for themselves a little bit because it is a selfish game at the end of the day. Is there anything else on that card you want to talk about, Cole? I know you had what did you have John Dodson? I can't remember, but I think you said that he
no. I thought he had a shot, but I did not expect him to knock Nathaniel Wood out. That was a really surprising performance. Like that was probably the one that surprised me the most on that card.
Yeah.
Other than that, like nothing totally surprised me. Like Daniel Rodriguez, but I know you were saying like this might be a fight.
I said he had a good chance to win, and 2 weeks in a row where I said a dog had a good chance to win and didn't pick him. Cole. So dumb. I thought Paiva looked really good too. He got the knockouts. And then, of course, that Holtzman-Miller fight was a fun fight to watch. Miller's taking a lot of damage too, Cole. That guy's taking a lot of damage. Let's see here. Just a couple more questions. Kenshiro Rodojo, make 120K or 240K, Mr. Tio? Yeah, it's an easy question. It's an easy answer, right, Cole? Like you said, Cole. It's like it's like your boss saying you can go home to work early today and we'll double your payday for the day, or you can stay and maybe double your payday. And Moy's audio, the knee landed on chest, not a DQ. It says 2 knees. First was legal and not grounded. At first, I thought it might have hit his chest too, man. But on the replay, it seemed like he hit his head and cut him open. But I'll say this, Cole. I will say this about the cut. I think the cut was the difference between the fight being stopped and not. Because I think if he didn't get cut open, Cole, I think the doctor might have said, he's fine to go, and the referee would have been like, you got to go. You have to fight again. Once they cut him open, that's what I think swayed it to being kind of a disqualification, because it did like physical, visceral damage. Otherwise, it's hard to know how much damage he did. Oh, let's say this: like, anytime you get hit in the head on the ground, you're going to get hurt. Anything else you want to say about that, Cole?
Yeah, the cut I think was a big reason. I think if there was no cut, I think they would have forced him to fight. But that cut looked pretty deep. It was pretty bad, and like I don't know, like he doubled his money. Like what else can you say? Like if anyone has an opportunity to double their salary, everyone's going to take it.
I agree. And then the last thing we have to quickly talk about this. Someone asked me, I can't remember. Oh yeah, it was Kevin. He asked me on the morning podcast call. Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder too. He asked me who I'm going to pick in that fight. So I'm going to ask you first. Who you going to pick?
So I think hands down, Tyson Fury is a much better boxer. We saw that in the first fight. He's a much more technical boxer. We saw against Louis Ortiz and Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder's not the best technical boxer. Louis Ortiz was winning for 7 rounds. But Deontay Wilder only needs 1 punch. I think he can do it against Fury. We saw him drop Fury twice. That last one probably should have been a knockout. Like he was out cold. To see him come back and wake up from that, I don't think it's going to happen. I think Deontay Wilder is going to knock him out probably in the later rounds. I'd say 9 to 12 rounds. He's going to knock him out.
Yeah, I did mention the odds. Deontay Wilder minus 120, Tyson Fury plus 110. That's from ProBoxingOdds.com. Close fight for sure. I mean, just as the odds adjust. First fight was a draw. Fury was winning the fight up until the end, and then Wilder dropped him, like you said, Cole. Honestly, I think I would take Fury as a dog, but definitely a close fight. It can go either way, man. It's a close fight. Are you going to watch the fight, Cole?
Yeah, I think I probably will.
Yeah, the cool thing about this weekend, so we have Friday night, Bellator 239, Saturday, like, afternoon, UFC Auckland, or Saturday morning. I can't remember what it is. I think it's Saturday afternoon. And then Saturday afternoon, Bellator, which I probably won't be watching, I'll be honest, the Bellator Dublin card.
So probably you have to watch it on the phone or whatever.
Exactly. So it's dumb. And then Saturday night, we got the Wilder Fury fight. So it should be good. Moy's audio also likes Fury in this fight. And Kenshiro Doju. From now on, people remember that fight as one of Diego's best showcase of a true veteran OG. I don't know about that, but definitely I think it'll be a fight where other fighters do look at it and say, hey, man, if I have the chance to take a DQ and get the win, I might as well take it. And he just says to save your money and watch the fight and enjoy it. Yeah, I can't blame him for that. It's a heavyweight boxing fight, Cole, two heavy hitters, man. I mean, it very well could go either way. And like you said, Cole, it's possible Fury boxes up Wilder for 10 rounds and gets KO'd late, or vice versa, where Wilder knocks him out early, or maybe he gets knocked out himself. Who knows? It's going to be a great fight, though. Very, very good match. And I think that's going to be it for the questions, Cole. So if you want, plug yourself, we'll get out of here.
At Twitter, @Shelton91 this week. Talk to Crute, Kai Care France, Brett Primus, Ed Ruth, Miles, Jury. All that's going to be on BJ Penn. Everything else is always on my Twitter.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Cole. And for me, you guys can check me on Twitter @MMAdamMartin. As always, feel free to send any questions you want there. And you can check me out at MMAOddsBreaker.com, BJPenn.com, and MMAratings.net, where I have an article on why Jan deserves a fight against Jones. All right, guys, that's it. Cole, I really appreciate you tuning in, man. Guys, thanks for sticking with us. There was a time change today, but we'll be back at, I'll be back tomorrow at normal time, 10 a.m. And Cole will be back next week at 11 a.m. to preview the UFC Norfolk card, which Cole actually broke the main event for a few months
and
ago.
Comey, because Felicia Spencer.
And Comey, you were a beast on that card. You were killing it.
That fight should not be Comey. I thought that fight was going to be prelim, maybe opening main card, but
we'll make fun of it next week. Okay, Cole?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a great day. Thanks again, Cole, for joining me. Bye, guys.